out of here.
In a world where one night of freedom turns into forever, no one is safe from the shadows that never fade. It was just like every other year. The government said it was time for the purge. One night where all crime was legal. People could let out their anger. They could steal, fight, or worse. It was meant to keep the country calm the rest of the year. John and his family lived in a small house outside the city. John was a farmer. His wife, Mary, took care of the kids. They had 2 children, Tim, who was 10, and little Sarah, who was 6. That evening, they locked the doors. They put boards on the windows. John had a gun hidden under the bed. "It will be over by morning," he told Mary. She nodded, but her eyes looked worried. The siren started at 7 p.m., loud and scary. That meant the purge had begun. At first, it was quiet. They sat in the living room, eating dinner from cans. Tim asked questions. "Why do people do bad things?" John said, "Because they can tonight." Sarah played with her doll, not understanding. Then they heard noises outside, cars driving fast, shouts in the distance, fireworks. No, gunshots. Mary held Sarah close. John looked out a small hole in the board. He saw lights from fires far away. "Stay inside," he whispered. Hours passed. It was midnight. They tried to sleep on the couch. But then, a knock on the door, soft at first, then louder. "Help us," a voice said. It was a woman. "Please, open up." John grabbed his gun. Mary shook her head. "Don't," she said. The knocking. "Stop." Then, breaking glass from the back, someone was trying to get in. John ran to the kitchen. He saw a man with a mask climbing through the window. John shouted, "Get out." The man laughed. He had a knife. John shot once. The man fell back. Outside, more voices. He killed one. They yelled. Tires screeched. A car rammed the front door. The wood cracked. John fired again. Bullets hit the car. It backed up, but more people came. They had guns too. The family ran to the basement. It was dark and cold. They hid behind boxes. Upstairs, crashes and yells. "Find them," someone said. Footsteps on the stairs. John aimed his gun. His hands shook. But then, the sirens again. No, it was morning time. The purge should end at 7 a.m. John checked his watch. It was 7:05. Why no? And siren. The radio was on. Static, then a voice. "The purge will continue. No end today." John's heart stopped. It wasn't over. The chaos would go on. The basement was damp. The air smelled of mold. John held the gun tight, his knuckles white. Mary whispered to the kids, "Stay quiet." Tim's eyes were wide. Sarah hugged her doll, shaking. Upstairs, the crashes grew louder. Glass shattered, furniture broke. The voices were angry, shouting names John didn't know. John crept to the basement door. He listened. Footsteps were heavy above. "They're hiding," a man said. Another laughed. "We got all day now." John's stomach twisted. The radio's words echoed in his head. "The purge will continue." Why? It was supposed to end. He whispered to Mary, "We can't stay here." She nodded, her face pale. "Where do we go?" she asked. John didn't know. The house wasn't safe anymore. They had to move. He grabbed a bag from the corner. It had water, some food, and a flashlight. "Tim, carry this," he said. Tim took it, trying to be brave. Sarah clung to Mary. John led them to a small hatch in the basement wall. It led to a crawl space under the house. "Quiet," he said. They crawled through dirt and cobwebs. The space was tight. Sarah whimpered. Mary shushed her softly. Above, the intruders were still tearing through the house. John pushed open the hatch. It led to the backyard. The air was cold. Smoke hung heavy in the distance. Fires glowed. Screams echoed. They stayed low, moving to the shed. John's truck was parked nearby. "If we get to the truck, we can drive," he said. Mary looked scared. "Where to?" she asked. John thought of their neighbor, Old Man Harris. He lived a mile away. He was tough, had guns, and a strong house. Maybe he knew what was happening. They crept to the truck. John unlocked it. The family climbed in. He started the engine. It roared too loud. From the house, someone shouted, "They're out here." Headlights flashed. A car sped toward them from the road. John slammed the gas. The truck lurched forward. The car chased them. Bullets hit the back window. Glass cracked. Mary screamed, covering. The kids. John swerved down a dirt road. Trees blocked the moonlight. The car stayed close. Its lights blinding. John turned sharp, almost hitting a tree. The chasing car slowed, but didn't stop. They reached Harris's land. His house was dark. No lights. John stopped the truck. "Stay here," he told Mary. He grabbed the gun and ran to the door. He knocked. No answer. He pushed it open. Inside, it smelled wrong, like blood. In the living room, Harris was on the floor, dead. His eyes stared at nothing. A radio played static nearby. John grabbed it. A voice came through. "The government has fallen. The purge is forever now. No rules, no end." John froze. The kids screamed from the truck. He ran back. The chasing car was there. Men with masks got out, holding knives and guns. They grinned. John fired. One man fell. The others ran at him. He pulled Mary and the kids from the truck. They ran into the woods. Branches scratched their faces. The men shouted behind them. John didn't know where to go. The world was falling apart. The woods were dark and thick. John led Mary, Tim, and Sarah through the trees. Their breaths were loud in the quiet. Branches snapped under their feet. Behind them, the men's shouts grew, fainter but didn't stop. John's gun felt heavy in his hand. The bag Tim carried bounced against his back. Sarah tripped, and Mary pulled her up, whispering, "Keep going." They ran until their legs burned. John found a ditch covered with leaves. "Down here," he said. The family slid into it, hiding under branches. The ground was wet and cold. Sarah started to cry, but Mary covered her mouth gently. Tim clutched the bag, his eyes darting. The men's voices came closer. Flashlights cut through the dark. "They went this way," one said. John held his breath, aiming the gun. His hands shook. The men passed by, their boots crunching. Then, silence. John waited. No sounds. He whispered, "We stay here till it's safe." Hours passed. The sky stayed dark. No morning came to end the purge. Mary whispered, "What's happening, John?" He shook his head. The radio's words haunted him. "The government has fallen. No rules." He didn't understand. Was it a lie? A mistake? Tim pointed to the bag. "There's a radio in here," he said. John pulled it out. It was small, battery-powered. He turned it on, static, then a voice. "This is a free broadcast. The purge is permanent. Cities are burning. No one's in charge." John turned it off. Mary's eyes filled with tears. Sarah hugged her doll tighter. A twig snapped nearby. John raised the gun. A figure stepped out, a woman, dirty and tired. Her clothes were torn. She held up her hands. "Don't shoot," she said. "I'm not one of them." John kept the gun up. "Who are you?" he asked. "I'm Ellen," she said. "I was hiding too. My group got attacked. I'm all that's left." She looked at the kids, then back at John. "You can't stay here. They'll find you." Mary asked, "Who's they?" Ellen's voice was low. "Purgers. Gangs. They're not stopping. They love this." John didn't trust her, but they couldn't stay in the ditch. "Where do we go?" he asked. Ellen pointed north. "There's a town. Some people are fighting back. They have a safe place. I was heading there." John looked at Mary. She nodded slightly. They climbed out of the ditch. Ellen led the way. The woods felt alive, full of noises, rustling leaves, distant screams. They walked for hours. Tired and hungry, Sarah's shoes were muddy. Tim's bag felt heavier. John kept the gun ready. They reached a clearing. A small fire glowed. 3 people sat around it, 2 men and a woman. They stood, holding weapons. Stop. One man yelled. Ellen raised her hands. It's me, Ellen. I found. Others. The man lowered his bat. You're late, he said. They sat by the fire. The group shared water and bread. The leader, a tall man named Carl, spoke. The purge didn't end because the government's gone. Some say it was planned. Others say it just broke. Either way, it's chaos now. John asked, what about the town? Carl nodded. It's real, but getting there's hard. Purgers are everywhere. A scream cut through the night. Carl grabbed his bat. They found us, he said. Headlights flashed. Engines roared. John pulled his family close. The fight was coming. The headlights grew brighter. Engines roared louder. John gripped his gun, heart pounding. Mary pulled Tim and Sarah behind a tree. Ellen whispered to Carl, how many? Carl's face was grim. Too many. The other 2 survivors, a man named Pete and a woman named Leela, grabbed their weapons, a bat and a crowbar. Ellen had a knife. The fire in the clearing flickered. Shadows danced on the trees. John counted 3 trucks pulling up. Men and women jumped out, at least 10. Some wore masked clown faces, skulls, blank white ones. They carried guns, knives, and chains. One laughed, a high-pitched cackle. Come out, little mice, he shouted. Carl signaled to stay low. Wait for my move, he whispered. John nodded, but he didn't trust Carl completely. Something about his eyes felt off. Ellen crouched near John, her knife ready. They're not organized, she said. We can take some out, the purgers. Spread out, kicking dirt into the fire. It hissed and smoked. One stepped close to the tree where Mary hid. Sarah whimpered. The purger stopped, head tilting. John aimed his gun, but Carl hissed, not yet. The purger moved on, joining the others. Then, chaos. Carl swung his bat at a purger, cracking his skull. The man dropped. Leela screamed and charged with her crowbar, hitting another in the chest. Pete fired a pistol, missing. The purger's turn. Shouting, gunshots rang out. John fired, hitting a woman in the leg. She fell, cursing. Mary kept the kids low. Tim clutched the bag, eyes wide. Sarah cried silently. Ellen stabbed a purger who got too close. Blood sprayed, but more came. A chain whipped through the air, hitting Pete's arm. He screamed, dropping his gun. Leela swung her crowbar, but a purger grabbed it, yanking her down. John shot again, out of bullets now. He grabbed a branch, swinging it like a club. A purger with a clown mask charged him. John ducked, tripping the man. Ellen tackled another, her knife flashing. Carl fought to it once, his bat breaking. Run, he yelled. John grabbed Mary's hand. Go, he said. They ran with the kids toward the trees. Ellen followed. Carl, Pete, and Leela were still fighting. Gunshots echoed. A scream Leela's cut off. John didn't look back. The family stumbled through the dark, branches scratching. Ellen panted beside them. Keep going, she said. They stopped at a stream, gasping for air. Sounds of the fight faded. John looked at Ellen. Where's Carl? He asked. She shook her head. He stayed to fight. John didn't believe her. Her voice sounded wrong, like she was hiding something. Mary checked the kids. Tim's face was scratched. Sarah's doll was gone. She sobbed quietly. John fell, helpless. The radio in the bag crackled. He turned it on. A voice. The safe town's real. North. Past the river. Find the red barn. Static. Then silence. Ellen said, That's where we're going. John stared at her. Why should we trust you? He asked. Ellen's eyes hardened. You don't have a choice. Mary whispered, John, we need her. He nodded, but doubt nodded him. They moved along the stream. The woods were quiet now. Too quiet. John felt eyes watching. A twig snapped behind them. He turned. Branch raised. Nothing. But the feeling stayed. They weren't alone. The stream gurgled softly as John led the family through the woods. The Air was cold, and the sky stayed dark, like the sun had forgotten to rise. Mary held Sarah's hand tight. Tim carried the bag, his shoulders sagging. Ellen walked ahead, her knife tucked into her belt. John kept his eyes on her. He didn't trust her. Her story about Carl staying behind felt wrong. They walked for hours, feet sore and muddy. Sarah whispered, "I'm tired." Mary shushed her, but her own face looked worn. John's branch, now his only weapon, felt useless. The radio in Tim's bag was silent. No more broadcasts, just static. The stream widened into a river. It was fast, dark water rushing over rocks. "We cross here," Ellen said, pointing to a fallen log bridging the gap. It looked old, mossy, and slick. John frowned. "Is it safe?" Ellen shrugged. "It's the only way to the red barn." John went first, testing the log. It creaked, but held. He waved the others over. Mary helped Sarah, holding her tight. Tim crossed slowly, clutching the bag. Ellen moved last, quick and sure. On the other side, they rested in tall grass. John's heart raced. Every shadow felt like a threat. Ellen pointed north. "The barn's close, maybe an hour." John nodded, but kept his grip on the branch. Mary whispered, "Do you trust her?" John shook his head. "Not yet." They moved through the grass. The woods thinned, opening to a field. In the distance, a red barn stood alone, its paint peeling. It looked quiet, almost too quiet. John felt a chill. "Stay low," he said. They crouched, moving slowly. Then, a rustle behind them. John turned, branch raised. A dog appeared, skinny and limping. Its fur was matted, one eye cloudy. Sarah gasped, "A puppy." Mary pulled her back. "It might be dangerous," she said. The dog whimpered, then ran off. John relaxed, but only a little. They reached the barn. The door was cracked open. Ellen pushed it, and it creaked loudly. Inside, it was dark, smelling of hay and rust. "Hello," Ellen called. No answer. John stepped in, eyes adjusting. Old tools lined the walls. A ladder led to a loft. "Check it," he told Ellen. She climbed up. "Empty," she said, coming down. But her voice was off again. John's stomach twisted. He looked at Mary, who nodded slightly. They were both suspicious now that Tim set the bag down. "I'm hungry," he said. Mary opened it, pulling out a can of beans. As she did, a piece of paper fell out. John picked it up. It was a note, scribbled in pen. "Don't trust Eve, she's one of them." John's blood ran cold. He looked at Ellen, who was staring at the note. "Who wrote this?" John asked, voice low. Ellen's eyes darted. "I don't know," she said. "Maybe Carl." But her hands twitched, reaching for her knife. John raised the branch, stepped back. He said. Mary grabbed the kids, pulling them behind her. Ellen smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "You're smart," she said, "but not smart enough." She lunged, knife flashing. John swung the branch, hitting her arm. She dropped the knife, cursing. Outside, engines roared. Headlights lit up the barn's windows. "You led them here," John shouted. Ellen laughed. "The purge never ends. You'll see." She ran for the door. John chased her, but headlights blinded him. Trucks surrounded the barn. Voices shouted. The family was trapped again. Asterisk, the barn's walls shook as the trucks circled closer. Headlights poured through the cracks, lighting up the dusty air. John pushed Mary and the kids behind a stack of hay bales. "Stay down," he whispered. His branch was useless now. Ellen was gone, vanished into the dark with the purgers. Her laugh still echoed in his head. Voices outside grew louder. "Come out, or we burn it down." A man shouted. John's heart raced. He looked at Mary. Her face was pale, but she nodded, holding Tim and Sarah close. Tim clutched the bag, his eyes wide. Sarah was silent, her face streaked with dirt. John searched the barn for anything to fight with. He found a rusty pitchfork against the wall. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. "We can't run," he said to Mary. We fight here." She swallowed hard, but nodded again. "For the kids," she whispered. The door burst open. 3 Purgers stepped, and masks glinting in the light. One had a chainsaw, its engine revving. Another held a shotgun. The third swung a bat. "Found you," the chainsaw man said, grinning. John gripped the pitchfork, stepping forward. "Stay back," he yelled. The shotgun Purger laughed and fired. The blast hit the hay bales, scattering straw. Mary screamed, pulling the kids lower. John charged, stabbing the pitchfork into the bat Purger's leg. The man howled, falling. John yanked the pitchfork free and swung at the shotgun Purger, missing. The chainsaw man lunged, the blade buzzing close to John's arm. Tim threw a can from the bag, hitting the chainsaw man's mask. It cracked, and he stumbled. Mary grabbed a shovel from the floor and swung it, hitting the shotgun Purger's hand. The gun dropped. John tackled him, punching hard. The man went limp. But more Purgers came. 5 now, crowding the door. John's pitchfork broke as he blocked a knife. Mary swung the shovel again, but a Purger grabbed it, pulling her down. Sarah screamed. Tim threw another can, but it did nothing. John fought with his fists, desperation taking over. Then, a new sound. A horn blared outside. Headlights flashed, but not from the Purger trucks. A van crashed through the barn's sidewall, with splintering. Men and women jumped out, holding guns and bats. "Get down," one yelled. They weren't Purgers. They fired at the attackers. The chainsaw man fell, blood pooling. The others ran or dropped. A woman from the van ran to John. "You heading to the safe town?" she asked. John nodded, panting. "Come with us," she said. "It's real, but it's not safe yet." She helped Mary up. The kids clung to her. The group moved fast, piling into the van. John grabbed the bag. Gunshots echoed as the last Purgers fought back. The van sped through the field toward the north. The red barn faded behind them. Inside, the woman, who called herself Kate, explained. "The safe town's a camp, people fighting to stop the Purge. But it's under attack too." John looked at Mary. They were alive, but not safe. The van stopped at a gated wall. Lights glowed inside. People with guns stood guard. "You made it," Kate said. But as they stepped out, a distant explosion shook the ground. Screams followed. The Purge wasn't over. It might never be. John held his family close. They were together. But the world was still broken. The safe town was just another fight waiting to happen.